Hello everyone, thank you for joining me wherever you are on a wet, dreary day in Manchester. So doing Bava Kamma Daf 63 Omid B, and let's just refresh from the last Omid. The Gemara asks, now that you said that the word kol is an amplification, why do we need all the separate details listed in the verse, i.e. ox, donkey, sheep and garment? The Gemara answers, as far as for the three animals listed, one is mentioned to exclude land, one is to exclude Canaanite slaves, and one is to exclude financial documents. The example of a garment is mentioned to exclude an item that is not clearly delineated in size or quantity, but any manner of a lost thing is written to teach that which Rabbi Chia bar Abba says, as Rabbi Chia bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says with regard to one who falsely states the claim well, the thief stole a lost item that he had found. So what does that mean? Toein ta'anas ganav ba'aveda v'chudo. If one took an oath that an item that he had found was stolen from him, and then witnesses testify that he himself had stolen the item, he must pay double payment. So the Rambam says the Zikin Hilchot Geneva 4:4, which he had been obligated to safeguard until it could be returned to its owner. He pays double payment, as it is stated, for any manner of lost thing about which one shall say, this is it. The one whom the judges convict shall pay double to his neighbor. Exodus 22:8. We learn in a Mishnah elsewhere in 108b about a case where an owner of an item said to the bailey, where is my deposit? The bailey said to him, it was lost. Hechan pikdoni amole avad. In a case of a bailey who claims that a deposit he had been entrusted with has been lost, and he takes an oath to that effect, and subsequently witnesses testify that the bailey stole the deposit, the bailey only pays the principal amount of the deposit. And that's from the Rambam Sefer Nazir and Hilchot Geneva 4:3 Torah and Chotrim Mishpat 252. The owner said, I administer an oath to you that it was actually lost, and the bailey said Amen, thereby accepting the oath, and subsequently the witnesses testified by the bailey that he himself consumed the deposit. In this case, the bailey pays the principal and invited the deposit to the owner. If the bailey admitted on his own, Hodav al pi atzmo, if a bailey claims that the deposit entrusted to him had been lost, and takes an oath to that effect, and his oath were lies, he must pay the principal amount and an additional 1/5 that amount to the owner of the deposit. He must bring a guilt offering as well. Rambam Sefer Aflah Hilchot Shavuot 1:8-9, that he stole the deposit before any witnesses testified to this effect. He pays the principal and an additional 1/5 of the principal amount to the owner, and he brings the guilt offering to atone for his sin. See Leviticus 5:20-26. The Mishnah continues with another case. The owner said to the bailey, where is my deposit? The bailey said to him, it was stolen. If a bailey takes an oath that a deposit entrusted him has been stolen from him, and subsequently witnesses testify that the item is still in fact in his possession, then the bailey must pay double payment. One mistake for Nazir and Geneva 4:1 Torah and Chotrim Mishpat 252. The owner said, I administer an oath to you, and the bailey said Amen, and the witnesses testified about the bailey that he stole the deposit. In this case, the bailey pays double payment. If he admitted his theft on his own, if a bailey claims that the item entrusted to him had been stolen from him, and takes an oath to that effect, and he subsequently admits on his own that his claim and his oath were lies, he must pay the principal amount plus an additional 1/5 of that amount to the owner of the item. He must bring a guilt offering. Rambam Sefer Aflah Hilchot Shavuot 1:8-9. He pays the principal and the additional 1/5 to the owner, and he brings the guilt offering to atone for his sin. The Gemara says, in any event, the Mishnah teaches that in a case of a bailey who falsely states the claim that a thief stole a deposit, he must pay double payment. He pays double payment. But in a case of a bailey who falsely claims that a deposit was lost, he does not pay double payment. And it also teaches that even with regard to one who falsely states the claim and the thief stole the deposit, it is only by taking an oath to substantiate his claim that pays double payment. If a bailey claims an item entrusted to him has been stolen, but before he takes an oath to substantiate the claim, witnesses come and refute it. He only pays the principal amount of the deposit. Bava neighbor 4:1. But for simply lying without taking an oath, he does not pay double payment. From where these matters derived, as the sages taught in a Braita, the Torah states, if a man gives his neighbor money or vessel to safeguard it, and it was stolen from the house of the man, if the thief shall be found, he shall pay double. 22:6. The verse is speaking of a bailiff who falsely states the claim that a thief stole. The Braita continues, do you say that the verse is speaking about one who falsely claims that the deposit was stolen, or is it speaking only about the thief himself, teaching that if the actual thief is caught, he must pay double payment? When the Torah says in the following verse, if the thief shall not be found, the one whom the judges convict shall pay double to his neighbor, in Exodus 22:7-8, the verse is speaking of one who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit, as it states that no other thief was found. Since the latter verse is speaking of one who falsely claimed that the deposit was stolen, it stands to reason that the earlier verse is speaking of this case as well. And it's taught in another Braita, when the Torah says, if the thief shall be found, he shall pay double, Exodus 22:6, the verse is speaking of the thief himself. Do you say that it is speaking about the thief himself, or is it speaking only about one who falsely states the claim that a thief stole? If so, when the verse then says, if the thief shall not be found, the one whom the judges convict shall pay double to his neighbor, Exodus 22:7-8. In the case of one who falsely states the claim that a thief stole the deposit is already stated. How then do I realize that the first verse about paying double, if the thief shall be found, so it is not superfluous? It must be that the first verse is speaking of the thief himself. The Gemara comments, although the two Braita disagree about the meaning of the earlier verse, in any rate, everyone agrees that in the latter verse, which states, if the sheep shall not be found, let's read that, Im lo yimadse Haganov shall pay double to his neighbor, is referring to a bailiff who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit. From where is this interpretation inferred from the verse? Ma mashma. The plain meaning of the verse cited here is that if no thief is found to corroborate the bailiff's claim that the deposit was stolen, the bailiff is suspected of having stolen it himself. It is not clear from the verses how this suspicion is substantiated to the extent that the bailiff is required to pay double payment. Rather, therefore, explains that when the verse states, if the thief shall not be found, it is meant as an absolute negation, meaning that the witnesses have testified that the deposit was not stolen from the bailiff, as the bailiff himself took it for its own use. Consequently, if it has come before the judges and taken an oath to corroborate his false claim, he is required to pay double payment. Rava said that the verse should be understood as followed: if it is not found, im lo yimadse, to be as he said, i.e., if his claim that the deposit was stolen is found to be untrue, but he himself stole it, he shall pay double to his neighbor. Then one turns his attention to another facet of this halacha. And from where do we derive that this double payment of one who falsely claims that the deposit was stolen applies only when the bailiff has taken an oath after that it was stolen? The Gemara answers, as is taught in the Braita with regard to the verse, if the thief shall not be found, the homeowner shall approach the judges to determine if he laid his hand yada on his neighbor's goods, Exodus 22:7. This means that he shall come to the court for the purpose of taking an oath. Do you say he comes to court for the purpose of taking an oath, or is it only for the purpose of facing judgment? The meaning shall be determined by means of a verbal analogy. Laying the hand, sheluchatz yad, refers to misappropriation, as is stated later. In the verse, the oath of the Lord shall be between them both, to see whether he has not laid his hand, yado, on his neighbor's goods, Exodus 22:10, and laying the hand is stated above, Exodus 22:7. Just as laying the hand later is referring explicitly to an oath, so to laying the hand here is referring to an oath. The Gemara analyzes the two Braitas cited earlier. Granted, according to the one who says that in the second Braita, that one verse about double payment is speaking about the thief, and one verse is speaking about a bailiff who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit. This is why two verses are written, as each verse teaches a different halacha. But according to the one who says that the first brayta, that both of the verses are speaking about a bait who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit, while only two verses, one verse should be sufficient. The sages say both verses are necessary because one verse shows to exclude from double payment the case of one who falsely states the claim that the item has been lost. Double payment is paid only when the bailey falsely claims that the item is under his care or stolen. The Gemara asks, and according to the one who says that one verse is speaking about a thief, so I lost the place here. Double payment is paid only when the bossy falsely claims that the item and his care was stolen. The Gemara asks, and according to the one who says that one verse is speaking about the thief, and one verse is speaking about a bailey who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit, so there's no superfluous verse. From where does he learn to exclude the double payment of a bailey who falsely states the claim that the item has been lost? The one answers, he derives it from the fact that the verse could have stated, if a thief, a ganav, shall not be found, but it states instead, if the thief, a ganav, shall not be found. Then what asks, and since according to the one who says that both verses are speaking about a bailey who falsely states the claim that a thief stole the deposit, one of us excludes the case of a bailey who falsely claims the deposit was lost, and what does he derive from the fact that the verse did not state, if a thief shall not be found, but it states instead, if the thief shall not be found? The Gemara answers, he could have said to you that this terminology is necessary to teach what Rabbi Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says. Rabbi Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says, one who falsely states a claim that a thief stole a deposit pays double payment, and if the deposit was an ox or sheep and he slaughtered or sold it, he pays fourfold or fivefold payment. The Gemara knows, according to the one who says that one verse is speaking about a thief and one verse is speaking about a bailey who falsely states a claim that the thief stole the deposit, who employed this change in terminology, i.e. the fact that the verse could have stated, if a thief shall not be found, but instead states, if the thief shall not be found, exclude the case of a bailey who falsely states the claim that the deposit was lost. There seems to be no source to teach us halacha stated by Rabbi Abba. Accordingly, from where does he derive the halacha taught by Rabbi Abba, that if a bailey slaughtered or stole the animal, he pays fourfold, fivefold payment? The Gemara answers, he could have said to you, it is a juxtaposition. Ein mashivan al ha-keisha. A juxtaposition is considered to be the explicit intention of the Torah and therefore cannot be refuted by logic alone. As a liability for double payment for a thief and for a bailey who falsely claims that the deposit was stolen are juxtaposed to each other. Therefore, just as a thief pays fourfold or fivefold payment if he slaughtered or sold the animal, so must the bailey. And although these two cases are not entirely comparable, this derivation cannot be refuted on that basis, as there is a principle that one cannot refute a derivation based on a juxtaposition. A keishahu is a juxtaposition. Rashi cites the opinion that the word hekesh here is referring to two cases that are logically comparable, i.e. the case of a thief and the case of a bailey who falsely claimed that the deposit was stolen. They are similar in that both the thief and the bailey must pay double payment. Rashi rejects this understanding and claims that the term hekesh always refers to two juxtaposed verses. However, it could be argued that the term hekesh refers to a broader category of any point of contact between the two subject matters, whether the juxtaposition of two cases in a verse or through a logical affinity between them. And there are distinctions between two juxtaposed cases. The Gemara asks further, granted, according to the one who says that one verse is speaking about the thief and one verse is speaking about a bailey who falsely states the claim that the thief stole the deposit as well. But according to the one who says that both verses are speaking about a bailey who falsely states the claim that a thief stole the deposit, from where does he derive that a thief himself must pay double payment for stealing? If you would say that it be derived by a fortiori inference from the case of the bailey who falsely states the claim that a thief stole the deposit, because one is obligated to pay double payment for falsely claiming that the deposit was stolen, which constitutes passive theft. All the more so must the thief himself pay double payment. This derivation is not possible. The reason that it is sufficient for the conclusion that emerges from a fortiori inference is to be like its source. In other words, a halacha derived by means of a fortiori inference cannot be more stringent than the halacha of the source from which it is derived. Consequently, on the basis of this fortiori inference, it would have concluded that just as there in the source case, a double payment is required only when the guilty party took an oath, so too here, when the thief himself pays double, it is only when he took an oath that he did not steal it. The Gemara responds, he derives the obligation of a thief to pay double payment without having taken an oath from a third verse. If the theft shall be found in his possession alive, whether it is an ox or donkey or sheep, he shall pay double. This is 22.3. The double payment in this verse applies to all items, as is derived from what the school of Chizkiah taught. Midsana devei Chizkiah. Rashi notes that the basic answer of the Gemara is that the requirement for a thief to pay double payment is written explicitly in Exodus 22.3. He explains that the Gemara proceeds directly on Chizkiah's analysis of this verse, rather than citing the verse itself, because the verse mentions only animals, and the Gemara wants to prove that the double payment applies to all items, not just animals. As the school of Chizkiah taught that the verse states only ox and theft, and all items would be included. Why was it necessary to also mention donkey and sheep? Had the verse been written this way, I would have said, just as the item mentioned in the detail is clearly defined as an item that is sacrificed on the altar, so too everything that is sacrificed on the altar is subject to double payment, but other items are not. What else is there for you to include in this category? Sheep, which are like oxen, can be sacrificed on the altar. That's the end of the Omid. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all the best. Bye.